Hello, students. In this podcast of Motion in Time, Volume 2, we will learn about how time is measured. Time is an important aspect of our life. All our daily life activities, from morning to night, are centered around time. Measurement of time is of great importance to us. Today, we measure time by using clocks and watches. But in the past, man has been measuring time by different means. In earlier days, when there were no clocks or watches, man used to measure time by the movement of natural objects like the sun, stars, and the phases of the moon. So, how did people measure time earlier? Long time ago, people realized that some natural events repeated regularly after a fixed time interval. They used such movements or events to measure time. For example, they observed that the sun rises every day in the morning and sets every day in the evening. It again rises after a dark period. They called the time between one sunrise and the next sunrise as one day. Day and night were measured by the rising and setting of the sun. They also observed that the moon becomes full after a few days and then starts decreasing or waxing. They called the time taken from one full moon to the next as 1 month. So, month was measured by waxing and waning of moon. They realized that seasons repeated periodically. From one season to the next season of the same kind was taken as 1 year. This was equal to the one revolution of Earth. So, a year was measured by the time taken by the Earth to complete one revolution of the Sun. Some measuring devices used in earlier times. People devised some simple time measuring devices like sundial, sand clock, and water clock for the measurement of time. Sundial. In olden times, people measured time of the day using a sundial. Sundial has a triangular blade fixed vertically on a dial marked with hours of the day. The sun casts a shadow on this vertical blade on the dial. The position of the shadow on the dial gives the time. Next they used was sand clock. A sand clock gives a constant time interval based on the time taken by sand to flow from one glass bulb to another. A sand clock consists of two glass bulbs joined by a narrow neck. When the sand clock is kept upright, fine sand from the upper glass bulb flows down to the lower glass bulb in a fixed interval of time. Next is water clock. Water clock consists of two containers kept at different levels. Water is allowed to drip from one container to another kept at lower level. The time taken by the entire water to drip from upper to the lower container is used to measure the time interval. Ancient devices like the sundial, sun clock, and water clock could not be used to measure time for long because they could not be used to measure small intervals of time like minutes and seconds. So later, many more devices and more complicated devices which could measure accurate time were invented. Thank you.